다시 기업의 이익으로 되돌아오니까요. 방송 광고, 경제에 큰 힘이 됩니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
Can I start with not a word, but just a sound? Brr. Like, seriously, so cold this morning. And after Ipchun yesterday, we were supposed to be entering spring, at least in theory, but we are going through some of the coldest days of this winter. And the winter is the cruelest for those living in vulnerable and impoverished conditions, right? And one of the groups in the most vulnerable conditions is the elderly. And the numbers don't look good for this group. So please, I implore you, bundle up today, be careful on the roads, and check in with those who may be having a tough time during this cold winter. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Tuesday, February 4th on BEFM, 부산 영어 방송. Good morning, wavers. I hope you're all doing well. It is so cold. I mean, literally freezing cold. So cold as I drove into the station this morning. And for those of you who are just waking up, yes, it's going to be really, really cold. The cold snap is expected to continue throughout this week. In such conditions, these cold conditions can be particularly dangerous for people who are in both physical or economically vulnerable positions or conditions, right? Actually, South Korea's senior poverty rate is showing worsening figures. So let's look at the numbers. According to Statistics Korea and the Ministry of Health and Welfare, the relative poverty rate, so we're talking about 상대적 빈곤율 for seniors in South Korea, stands at 38.2%. So this is based on one's disposable income. So we're talking about 가처분 소득, and those whose disposable incomes fell below the 50% line of the median income. So divided by gender, the relative poverty rate for women was far higher than that of men. The overall poverty rate for seniors is much higher than those in the working age group, below 65 by about 3 to 4 times. So there's a big gap between the working group of people versus those who are classified as seniors. And the thing is that we have been seeing this poverty rate improve in the past few years, and then it started to go backwards, worsen around 2022. So overall, South Korea's senior poverty rate is among the highest out of all the OECD nations at over 40%. Think about that, though, 40%, which was nearly triple the OECD average of 14%. So this is indeed a serious issue in this super age society of ours, and signals that discussions into pension reform, things like labor reform and welfare are very much overdue. That's our overall theme. And now let's get to our text topic. When you have traveled overseas, have you ever gotten something confiscated? So that's a fancy word for taken away at customs or security at the airport. What was it? Why? All right, so please keep it all legal, okay? What is something that, in theory, you want to bring back from overseas, and maybe something from your home country that you have to have with you when you go abroad? Okay, so both ways. Taking something with you when you go abroad, and something that you want to bring back to Korea or wherever it is that you are. 자, 나는 여행 갈 때 세관에서 보안 검색대에서 당황했던 적, 혹은 저 이런 적이 있어요. 물건 뺏긴 적이 있어요. 저도 뺏길 뻔한 적이 있다. 해외에 가서 공세에 오고 싶은 것도 있을 거고요. 반대로 나는 해외 나가도 이거는 무조건 이거는 꼭 챙겨야 된다. 가져갈 거다 하는 것도 네, 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. You can send in your messages to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. So go to the YouTube platform, type in BEFM or 부산영어 방송, and once you do, you'll see our channel. Click on that, subscribe, log in, and chat away with our waivers. Also, on your phone, pound 9050 샵 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. Also on Kakao Talk, you can send in your messages for free, your messages and photos if you like as well. And the ways you can listen to our program. So on the radio, 90.5, 103.3 FM. That's if you're in the Busan area. You can listen to us and watch us in real time on YouTube. Like I said earlier, you can watch at your leisure, and two apps, the BEFM app and the Patbang app, which you can easily download for free and listen to us that way. Looking ahead to our Tuesday morning together, we have Andrew with Sports Insider and Bonnie with the health for our special interview. What are we going to be focusing on? Mount Fuji. The big question is, could Mount Fuji erupt? Why are we talking about this? Well, for the fact, it is a famous volcano. It's been dormant for 300 years, but there are recent signs that say basically it could kind of reawaken this, dormant volcano. We're going to find out in hour number 2. And I'll be back with today's headlines. It's now 7:06. These are today's headlines. Yoon's insurrection trial to begin on February 20th. The criminal trial of President Yoon Suk-yeol over his martial law-related insurrection charges is set to begin on February 20th with pre-trial hearings at the Seoul Central District Court, said legal sources yesterday. Samsung's Lee Jae-yong acquitted of illegal succession in appeals trial. The Seoul High Court yesterday confirmed the non-guilty verdict for Samsung Electronics chairman Lee Jae-yong and accounting fraud and other irregularities related to the controversial merger of two Samsung affiliates in 2015. U.S. firm reports additional oil and gas prospects in East Sea. U.S. geoscience research company ActGeo has made a report on the potential discovery of 14 additional oil and gas reserves in South Korea's East Sea amid an ongoing fossil fuel exploration project in the area. Country prepares for cold snap and heavy snow. The Ministry of the Interior and Safety inspected preparations by local government and related agencies amid a cold snap and heavy snow forecast in most parts of the country. Trump pauses tariff on Mexico for 1 month. President Donald Trump said he agreed to immediately pause tariffs on Mexico for a month after a conversation with the country's President Claudia Sheinbaum. And these are today's headlines. It's time for Busan Updates. We have Sue in the studio. Let's say hi to her first. Good morning.
Good morning. Freezing morning, actually.
I know, right? Hey, so I have a question for you. When you're traveling, or if you've traveled, you obviously have traveled abroad, but have you had anything like confiscated or taken away from you? Anything even minor, like water or something that you forgot?
This is a little sad question to me because I don't have a lot of experience traveling abroad.
Okay. Yes.
Other than traveling back and forth from Korea to Canada.
That's abroad.
Yes.
Yes.
I have no experience being confiscated.
Anything confiscated. But is there something that you always take with you or something that you want to bring back?
Okay, there is one trip that I remember because my mom insisted that I bring dried anchovies.
Oh,
멸치.
멸치.
Yes.
And?
For making, broth. Back then, it was not made in the packs.
Right.
And then they were also going through the security checkup, and then they were like, "What is
What is
this?"
this?
Yeah. So I freaked them out. So I'm like, this is just dried seafood. I had to explain to them.
But it was okay?
Yeah, it was okay.
Okay. Thank goodness. So what a funny story. All right. We're going to get into our first update. This is regarding Suyeonggu District, which is thriving with Hwangale and pushing for integration with Namgu District, right?
Yes. In response to the population decline in the non-metropolitan areas, Ministry of the Interior and Safety, 행정안전부, has recommended the integration and federation of metropolitan governments as well as the consolidation of autonomous districts. So Suyeonggu District has drawn attention by announcing its plan for district integration.
Yeah, so part of this initiative includes creating 대동구. So tell us more about this.
So 대동구 means merging districts and integrating with neighboring districts. So Suyeonggu Mayor Kang Sung-tae intends to create 대동구 by merging Suyeonggu's 10 administrative districts based on area and proximity,
Yes.
while also integrating with neighboring Namgu district.
Okay.
His argument is that for large-scale administrative mergers to be effective, smaller local administrative units like districts 구 and counties 군 must first streamline their structures. He stated that he will pursue this 대동구 plan by improving administrative efficiency and reducing the number of public officials and then allocating budgets to welfare programs. In addition, experts like Professor Seo Jae-oh of Bukyang National University suggest that this plan might serve as a model for broader local government integration in Busan. So now attention is focused on whether discussions on integrating autonomous districts and counties will gain momentum, starting with Namgu District and Suyeonggu District.
This is so important, so we're going to keep an eye on this one to see if this does, if it pans out. So let's talk about another district, though. Yeongdo-gu District aims to become a coffee industry hub with a 1.7 billion won investment over the next 2 years.
Busan City announced that Yeongdo-gu District's coffee industry ecosystem research and development cluster project has been selected for the Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises and Startups Regional Industry Promotion Collaboration Project. And this project focuses on creating a sustainable and specialized coffee industry cluster through a cyclical system that includes smart coffee logistics platform development, advancing coffee production innovation, promoting coffee tourism, and supporting marketing for newly developed coffee products.
Well, which is very good, but why is this project planned in this area, the Yeongdo-gu District area?
Even though Yeongdo-gu District is famous for its industries like shipbuilding and ship repair,
Right.
due to industrial shifts and urban aging, the area has experienced ongoing population decline and aging. As a result, Yeongdo-gu District, along with Donggu District and Seogu District in Busan, has been designated as a depopulated area under the National Balanced Development Special Act. And in addition, the district has infrastructure and spaces that can be utilized, such as the Blue Port Coffee Culture Complex and the Bongnaekeuti, which is a coffee-focused open lab. And the district also regularly hosts the Global Yeongdo Coffee Festival. And it's an internationally recognized coffee event.
Right.
And additionally, its proximity to Busan Port gives Yeongdo a competitive edge as a coffee logistics hub. So with this selection, the city will collaborate with Yeongdo-gu District, Busan Technopark as the leading organization, Donghwa University, and the Industry Academia Corporation Foundation 산학협력단 as participating organizations.
I see. So, of course, we hope not just Busan, but in particular, Yeongdo-gu District, it really thrives as this, this coffee industry hub. All right, next, let's talk about Busan City Mayor Park Hyung-jun, who announced that up until February 24th, the city will recruit 2,110 participants for its public urban garden program. So tell us about this.
Yes, the purpose of this 공영 텃밭 program is to offer residents the chance to experience gardening and foster community communication, as well as to contribute to the recovery of local communities and the promotion of a healthy society. And this project is operated in Shinojigu district and East Busan. Currently, there are 253 available plots in Shinojigu district and 78 plots in East Busan, like Gangseogu district, Sinodong, and Gijanggun County.
Well, tell us about the details for the registration of this.
Yes, participants in the program are required to pay the plot fee every year with the option to participate for up to a maximum of 3 years. Any resident registered in Busan can apply, and applications can be made online from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. on February 9th via the official Busan website for event registrations. The selection of participants will be done through a random lottery.
Oh, okay. So that sounds like definitely something that some of you might be interested in. All right, lastly, a part of the Busan Museum, the Bokcheon Museum, announced that it's going to be holding a family experience event. And this is happening February 12th, right?
Yes. So on the 8th at 10 a.m., this event will take place at both Bokcheon Museum and the Bokcheondong Ancient Tombs, which is an outdoor exhibition center, to celebrate Jeongol Daeborum. So Jeongol Daeborum is the first full moon of the lunar year, which falls on the 15th day of the first lunar month, usually around February. And the event, titled Making and Flying Traditional Kites, is designed to mark the occasion by warding off bad luck and praying for good fortune for the year ahead.
I see. So tell us more about this event, the significance.
Yes. So flying kites reminds me of my nephew. He loves it.
Okay.
So yeah, I would personally deliver this news to him. This is very special because people will be able to make kites using traditional 동래연. So this is a traditional Korean kite that originates from 동래.
Oh, okay.
And the event will be guided by Baemusam Jiyeonjang. So Jiyeonjang means an artisan who specializes making paper kites.
Oh, okay.
And Mr. Bae, he's the only person in the country recognized as an intangible cultural heritage artisan for 동래연 kite. And he has been designated as a National Intangible Cultural Heritage number 21. So after creating the kites, people will be able to fly them. And registration for the event will begin today at 9 a.m. and end at 6:40 p.m. on the 6th through the Busan Integrated Reservation System. It's a first-come, first-served basis, so only a limited number of teams will be accepted.
I see. Well, thank you for going over the ins and outs of what's happening here in Busan, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
All right, let's get to your traffic and weather. It is now time for your traffic and weather report right now. So first up, we have a traffic report from one of our listeners, Michael, who says he is inside the Hwangyang Tunnel right now, and it's at basically a standstill. It is very congested. So thank you for giving us an update on that. It's also congested on Dongso Overpass from Bumnikor Ramp to the old Kaegum Tollgate, backed up on Luno Samsungdaedo from Myeongji Underpass to Shino Bridge. Also looking quite slow on Nakdong Namno from Ulsukdo to Myeongji Interchange. Currently, are you ready for this? It is minus 5 degrees Celsius here in Busan. And the thing is that, clear skies, but the daytime high is going to hover around 0. That's the high for today. But with the wind chill factor, the real feel temperature might feel like anywhere down to minus 11. And I'm so shocked to be even saying that, but it's from the winds. There is a cold wave effect preliminary report in place over Busan. Across the nation, much colder with lows of minus 10 degrees Celsius or below. Snow forecast for the western coast in Chungnam and Jeolla, along with rain or snow in Jeju. And Tommy popping in here this morning saying it is negative 11 degrees Celsius where he is in Suwon. So there's your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for News Digest. We have Haley in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, are we feeling better, both of us?
We have a sniffle alert next to us. If you hear, that's not us.
That's not us.
It's
'Cause-
another person in the studio.
Yeah. We'll just call her the sniffler today.
Yeah, the sniffler. There we
Yes.
go. The sniffler.
Yes.
Was also wearing green.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of like mixing your color with my color.
Yeah, it's the
And then we
most
get
more
that
muted. It's an
sage
earthy
green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very pretty. She's very loud right now.
네, 피디님
진짜.
좀 그만 좀 하실래요? 방해돼요. 계속. Okay. 휴지 좀. To whom?
I know.
우리가 가져올까요?
Should I just go off air?
know.
Walk out?
All right, so travels. I know that you have done extensive traveling with your family, but like, I need to hear your stories of things
Oh my gosh.
your family members take or like,
It's not
bring in.
me because knock on wood, but I am super type A, massive, capital J. So I plan everything and I check once, twice, thrice, if not more. But my friends, my dear friends, and can we cue the photo that I sent? And
Okay, here we
whenever
go.
I go abroad, especially to like Thailand and Southeast Asia, gotta bring food back, like sauces, noodles. I love sauces.
Sorry.
I don't even know how much I spent. I mean, it was wonderful. But then we also bought a lot of honey that was with my friend from Thailand. And my friend she knew about the liquid rule. She knew, but then she forgot. Because we were trying to, because liquids are heavy, especially like honey and, sauces are really
Right,
heavy.
right.
So she put all the heavy stuff into her carry-on. And then, of course, she got stopped at the airport security who
And?
had to confiscate like a full box of honey that she meant to bring for her mom. So, oops. Oh, and then, in my case, when I was traveling back and forth between the States and Korea, my mom's friends, because my mom was in Korea at the time, they sent her, what is gosari in English? Like the
tree
brown,
twigs?
right? Because that's what they look
That's what
like.
we call them in our house.
I mean, whatever gosari is, my mom's
twigs in
friend
your- yes.
sent me a massive like bundle of gosari.
Right.
But it literally legit looks like tumbleweed. So I got stopped and they were like, "What is this? Like, are you sneaking out like plant species?" I'm like, it's like they're herbs, like they're vegetables, they're dried vegetables. So they're like, "Oh," I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, is it alive? I'm like, well, it's like out of the ground, so it's obviously not alive.
Right.
They're like, what do you use it for? I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like, I'm just a messenger.
You're the mule of the
Which
gosari.
now that I'm like,
You're
I'm
the
the
gosari
herb
mule.
mule, I guess. Yeah, so that was fun.
I had a similar story.
Oh, yeah.
But my mom with the suk, the dried suk.
The mugwort, that I
The
know.
mugwort
Yeah.
that looks green and dried, and
And
she
it
had it in a
yeah.
baggie. Bringing it from Korea to the
That's-
States after I had
that's sketchy.
my first kid.
Yeah,
And,
it
like,
looks
was
sketchy. Yeah.
So she explained, and they let her through.
They let me through too.
Yeah, they're like, she explained through my dad, obviously, like, oh, my daughter just, gave birth and she needs this. And they're like,
What is this?
where, for what? Right.
It's like,
If you know, you know. Yeah. We're going to jump into our first story, though. News Trump's tariffs. We're going to call them U.S. President Donald Trump reaching an agreement with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum that puts a 1-month hold on the whole 25% tariffs.
Right. So the two leaders spoke on the phone for about 30 to 45 minutes, and they reached an agreement to stop the implementation of the 25% tariffs on Mexican goods brought into the U.S. So first, Mexico will immediately send 10,000 National Guard troops to the border to stop the flow of drugs into the U.S., particularly focusing on fentanyl.
Yes.
And then for the United States parts, it has also pledged to work to prevent trafficking of, on their end, high-powered weapons to Mexico, because this is also an issue that doesn't really go addressed. Apparently, there's one gun store in all of Mexico. However, to fill, right, it's highly controlled within the borders, but to
Okay.
fill that, I suppose, gap for a lot of drug cartels, there's illegal weaponry being smuggled from the north end of the border. So lastly, President Claudia Sheinbaum said that Trump insisted on discussing what he termed a trade deficit between the two countries, and he's been really honing in on this, not only with Mexico, but pretty much all of the rest of the world. And Sheinbaum said that she is confident that in the coming month, there will be productive discussions on this front.
Okay, so that's Mexico. But President Trump apparently also spoke to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
Right, and we're actually getting breaking news on this. So the discussion happened about a couple hours ago, and he rushed to a meeting with the Stanley Cup champions, the Florida Panthers. But now we're getting statements from the Canadian Prime Minister's office. Justin Trudeau says that the 25% tariff on Canadian goods will also be paused for at least 30 days.
Okay.
So that's good news on that front. So they agreed to measures that will reinforce their border and crackdowns on illegal drugs and crime.
I see.
And also, finally, the White House said that President Trump is expected to speak to his Chinese counterpart, President Xi Jinping, in the next 24 hours. So we'll have probably more for you on that tomorrow.
Okay, well, the tariffs may be put on pause, at least temporarily, for Mexico and for Canada. However, this also puts South Korean firms kind of on edge.
Right,
really
because they haven't been pulled completely. They're
Right.
on hold for the next month. So we are looking at a wide range of South Korean companies, including in the automobile industry, appliances, electronics, as well as their parts manufacturers that do business in Mexico and, of course, importing their items to the U.S.
Yes.
So the irony is that during President Trump's first administration, Trump 1.0, the United States imposed heavy trade sanctions against China. We all remember that.
Yes.
So a lot of South Korean companies, what they did back then was to move their manufacturing lines from China to Mexico. So Mexico was supposed to be the safe place because, well, it is North America and thus is covered under the North American Free Trade Agreement.
Right.
But now, well, now it's kind of in limbo, but the tariff on imports from Mexico, South Korean companies are now looking at relocating these companies to maybe the United States.
Yes.
So one such company doing that or considering this is Kia, which produces some of its cars in Mexico and imports them to the U.S. And other major car producers like Toyota and GM also do the same. And electronics companies like LG and Samsung, they also have production lines in Mexico for their dryers for LG and refrigerators for Samsung.
Right.
They're looking at utilizing their plants in Tennessee and South Carolina, respectively. But the thing is, it's expensive. The U.S. is much, much more expensive, including higher labor costs.
Absolutely.
So according to one firm, Trading Economics, the average per hour manufacturing wage in the U.S. is $28 compared to Mexico's $3.7. So they have a lot of numbers to crunch.
That's a big difference. But there are also fears that South Korea itself may be a target of Trump's tariffs.
Right. So going back to, once again, this trade deficit that President Trump is insisting on, as of 2023, South Korea was a country with the 8th biggest trade deficit with the U.S. So basically, South Korea imported much more stuff into the U.S. than we bought of American goods.
Yes.
So the Korea Institute for Industrial Economics and Trade named South Korea as one of the top 7 countries that would have a big impact from U.S. tariffs. So tariffs against Canada and Mexico, what they show is that under Donald Trump, the U.S. could impose economic sanctions even on its allies. So in the bigger picture, of course, there are proverbial bigger fish to fry, including Vietnam and Japan and Taiwan in terms of trade deficit. But when it comes to U.S. trade right now, experts are warning caution and preparations.
Indeed. So, of course, everybody's watching all of this, just really nervously. Let's bring it back to South Korea. Let's get the latest on President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment case procedures. What's going on?
Right. So the Constitutional Court yesterday, as we reported, they were supposed to rule on whether it was unconstitutional for acting President Choi Sang-mok to not appoint a 9th justice to the bench.
Right.
So this is in regards to Choi postponing the appointment of justice nominee Ma Eun-hyuk, which leaves one final seat empty for the impeachment trials. However, just 2 hours before that ruling was supposed to be made, the Constitutional Court sent out a notice saying that the oral arguments will resume next Monday for a competence dispute case filed by the National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-sik. So basically, it's been postponed. That's because acting President Che's side applied for a resumption of oral arguments last week, saying that there needs to be a further deliberation on the case. So it seems that the court has accepted, once again, not Che's side fully, but the need for further discussions.
Yes, yes, indeed. And as this is happening, the law enforcement is continuing their investigation into President Yoon Suk-yeol's insurrection charges.
Right. So once again, we have two major branches of trials going on. Number one, impeachment at the Constitutional Court, and the second, the insurrection, the criminal charges.
Right.
So the prosecution uncovered evidence that Yoon allegedly ordered the fire agency to cut the power and water to major media outlets on December 3rd. That's, of course, when he imposed martial law. So this is detailed in the Justice Ministry's indictment that was submitted to the parliament. This is a massive indictment spanning 101 pages.
Right.
So the indictment says that Yoon showed former Interior Minister Lee Sang-min these documents allegedly giving orders on what to do right after he declared martial law. So this included orders to lock down 5 media outlets. So these are newspapers 한겨레 and 경향, and media outlets, broadcasting companies MBC and JTBC, and polling company 꽃, and also to allegedly shut off the power and water to these buildings.
Yes.
The plans also included a request from the National Police Agency's investigation headquarters to dispatch plainclothes officials to be sent to the parliament to arrest Democratic Party leader Lee Jae-myung and former PPP or People Power Party leader Han Dong-hun, another major charge against the president.
Yes.
So this is the evidence that will be used against the president in his upcoming insurrection trial. And as you said, that'll start on February 20th with the pre-trial procedures.
Yes, yes, yes. So that's the latest on both fronts. And now we're going to turn to an entirely different issue. We're going to go to an age-old historical issue with Japan. Tokyo has again discarded South Korea's request for one of its UNESCO heritage sites.
Right, for yet another time. So we're talking about the Hashima Island or Kunhamdo, the battleship island, which is a UNESCO heritage site
Yes.
for Japan's Meiji Industrial Revolution period. But this is also the site where a lot of Koreans were forcibly taken and exploited for their labor.
Right.
So part of the deal with UNESCO and for South Korea to agree to this being a UNESCO site is that Japan take actions to reflect the full history, including the dark sides. But according to the latest report by Japan and released by UNESCO and then released by South Korea, it again failed to provide the full historical context, including this forced labor.
Yes, yes.
So therefore, South Korea's foreign ministry has expressed its regrets that Tokyo has once again not faithfully carried out the follow-up measures.
So this has raised criticism of the Yoon Suk-yeol's administration's diplomacy with Japan.
Right. So for one, Professor Seo Kyung-duk of Seongsun Women's University criticized Japan, but saying that this was predictable because ever since that information center for Hashima Island was set up not on the island but in Tokyo, which is about 1,000 kilometers away.
Right.
And apparently the center also bans taking of any photos and videos inside. And according to Professor Seo, this is to kind of hide how much information they're not really releasing regarding the exploitations.
Okay.
So he called for the South Korean government to change its diplomatic strategy for Japan after, quote, getting tricked by Japan for the past 9 years, unquote. Other pundits also have criticized the government for giving in to Japan on many issues and expecting that goodwill to be reciprocated, only to never have it be reciprocated, at least on this front.
I see. Well, age-old issue popping up once again. All right, for our last story, the Food and Drug Safety authorities are cracking down on certain words, such as drugs, like we say mayak, right? On food items like mayak this, mayak keran.
Because when we say drug kimbap or drug
Yes.
tteokbokki, that sounds horribly wrong in English.
right?
But in Korean, we say mayak kimbap and mayak food to
It's
kind of
so good.
talk about how addictive
Right,
something
right.
is. It's so good that it's addictive. And we do see these words on menus, but the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety announced that they're holding a guidance period for the month of February to recommend against using this term. They can't ban it because under the laws, authorities can simply recommend that businesses change the wording, but they can also provide financial stipends for them to change the menu and change the sign. So we'll see if there would be a cultural shift on this.
Yes, yes. So the next time I make the eggs, I'll just call them 아주 맛있는 달걀 계란. Okay, that's what I'll call them. Well, thank you for all the news, and we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
All right, we're ready for our first song. So this is, as requested by Benny, 괜찮아요 by B2B.
어깨가 무겁나요? 무거운 짐을 내려놓기가 참 쉽진 않죠. 누군가 말했죠. 내 꿈이 멀게만 느껴질 땐 잠시 쉬다 가세요. 매일 같은 일상에 힘든가요? 그건 누굴 위한 거죠? 결국 또 쓰러질 텐데 힘들어 혼자라 느껴질 땐 이 노래 들어봐요. 기대해 즐겨듣던 그 멜로디 라디오에 흘러나올 그 목소리 내가 할 수 있는 건 노래 가사뿐이죠. 힘들어도 괜찮아 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 잘 될 거예요. I believe in you. 3년째 지어오는 것도 날 원하지 않는 삶이 이제 군대라도 가야 하나 싶었어. 부모님께 말씀드렸더니 딱 한마디 했어. 에휴 그래서 말 못했지 하던 알바도 잘렸다고 해. 어제는 제대 직전인 친구가 휴가 나왔어 하는 말이 무섭대. 대학서 배운 건 다 까먹었어. 실업자 100만 시대 그런 건 잘 모르겠고 그 숫자가 차라리 통장 잔고였으면 좋겠어. 시끄러운 알람이 새벽부터 날 계속 재촉해. 쫓기는 나선 집 밖은 틈없는 벼랑 끝 같아. 뭘 하고 있지 하니 뭘 해야 하지 답이 없는 메아리 나 왜 밖에서 지고 엄한 곳에 다 화풀이해. 좌표 없는 하늘 위 방황하는 작은 종이배 억지로 눈물을 삼켜 어느새 한숨은 습관이 돼. 알아 나도 바보 같은 거 남 앞에서 괜찮은 척 겹치에 맑던 예전에 너 지금 어딨니. 기대해 즐겨듣던 그 멜로디 라디오에 흘러나올 그 목소리 내가 할 수 있는 건 노래 가사뿐이죠. 힘들어도 괜찮아 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 잘
Welcome back, everybody. So, that song was so good. I mean, I haven't heard that one before, but now I like it. Thank you, Benny. It is now time to go over a text topic before we get into Cat's Pick real quick. We're talking about traveling overseas. Whether you have actually gone overseas or, whether you're thinking about going but you haven't gone yet. What would you like to take with you, or what would you like to bring back? I did get a hat confiscated because I went to Fiji and had an amazing hat. It was like artistry. The locals, they made this amazing, I think it was like a banana leaf hat. Amazing, so beautiful. I was wearing it proudly. And then I got to LAX, the customs, the Los Angeles International Airport. They're like, what is this? And I'm like, the locals made me a hat. And they're like, no. You got to toss it. And I was so sad. And so I was like, can I just take one picture with it? So they were nice enough. They let me take a photo of it. And then I had to go in the wastebasket. So I was really sad about that. So 여행을 안 가보신 분들도 그래도 만약에 간다고 하면요. If you're gonna go, what would you take with you is what we're talking about. Kosu Waver says he would take one member from the Morning Wave team. I volunteered first because I saw the message first. I said, me, take me because I'm a good babysitter for your little girl. And so you and your wifey can go have a good time. And I think, wouldn't that be nice? Win-win-win for everybody. So anyhow, let's get to Cat's Pick for today. It is now time for a Cat's Pick, and unfortunately, not a happy story. So you might know of this Taiwanese actress. Her name is, in English, Barbie Hsu, Korean Seo Hee-won, and in Taiwanese or Chinese, Xu Xiwian. She passed away at the age of 48, very suddenly. Let's listen to two clips from Reuters and KBS News.
Taiwanese actor Barbie Hsu, who rose to fame across East Asia as the romantic lead in the 2001 soap opera Meteor Garden, has died of influenza aged 48 while on a family holiday in Japan. Her sister Di Hsu broke the news Monday, and it became the most sought-after topic on China's Weibo microblogging service. The sisters first found fame with their pop group SOS. Barbie Hsu became a household name from playing Shan Cai in the TV drama Meteor Garden, an adaptation of Japanese manga Boys Over Flowers. Hsu's character was a poor teenage girl who attends a school for wealthy students and encounters four spoiled, arrogant boys known as the F4. The late Hsu had been married to Korean rapper Koo Jun-yup, also known as DJ Koo, since 2022.
타이완의 유명 배우이자 가수 구준엽 씨의 아내로 알려진 쉬시 위안, 서희원 씨가 48세를 일기로 세상을 떠났습니다. 3일 대만중앙통신사는 쉬시이안 씨가 음력설 연휴 동안 독감에 걸린 후 이로 인한 폐렴으로 사망했다고 보도했습니다. 쉬시이안의 여동생인 방송인 쉬시디는 에이전트를 통해 우리 가족 모두 여행으로 일본에 왔는데 내 가장 소중하고 다정한 언니 바비 씨가 인플루엔자에 따른 폐렴으로 안타깝게도 우리 곁을 떠났다고 밝혔습니다. 그러면서 나는 이번 생에서 그녀의 동생이 될 수 있어 감사했고 서로를 돌보고 아끼며 함께 시간을 보낼 수 있어 행복했다며 그녀가 항상 고맙고 매우 그리울 것이라고 전했습니다. 쉬시이안은 드라마 꽃보다 남자의 타이완판 여주인공을 맡아 인기를 끌었는데 한국에서는 대만 금잔디로 불리기도 했습니다. 2011년 중국인 사업가 왕 샤오페이와 결혼해 딸과 아들을 뒀지만 2021년 이혼했고 2022년 구준엽 씨와 재혼해 한국과 타이완 연예계에서 큰 화제를 모았습니다. 구준엽과 시시위안 씨는 지난해 말 함께 찍은 사진을 SNS에 올리며 새해 인사를 건네기도 했습니다. 쉬시이안 씨의 갑작스러운 사망 소식에 이들의 러브스토리를 응원해온 한국과 타이완, 중국 등 전 세계 팬들은 SNS 등을 통해 애도를 표하고 있습니다.
So I was thinking about this. So many people around us are probably sick. Someone, at least one person you know, or you've probably been sick, whether it's with a cold, the flu, and in some cases, the flu getting into pneumonia. She was only 48 and relatively healthy, so it comes as a big shock. And of course, as the second clip really showed, the Korean clip about this love story that happened after 20 years separated apart, and they reunited, and then they got married, and this happened. So such a sad ending. Of course, rest in peace to her. Condolences for her loved ones. This was Kat's Pick for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for Andrew, and he is good to go. He's plugged in, ready to go for Sports Insider.
I never do that. That's
I know.
odd. Anyway, good morning.
How are you?
Fantastic. Other than
Yes, it's
forgetting
cold.
to plug in my. Oh, yeah, but I feel, obviously you get in here a little earlier than myself.
Yes, it's okay.
But warm. I think as long as you're in the sun, it's not too bad. That's like yesterday, actually. I was, out and about. There's the Canadian in me coming out. I was, out running a few errands around Centum and stopped in here at the station, did a few things. But everywhere I was going, I was kind of in the sun.
So
I was
you're
like,
okay.
I was like, oh, it's not too
It's
bad.
okay.
What's everyone?
It's bearable.
What are people complaining about?
And then
I was in the shade for about 10 minutes.
And you're like,
walking. I was like,
oh.
it's like, who turned the heater off? What is going on? So
Exactly.
I think if you're out doing anything and you're in the sun, you're all right.
real quick, have you
Yeah.
ever gotten anything confiscated at the airport?
Ooh, I'm trying to think. There was
No maple syrup?
no. Nothing like that. I think there's a TV show called Border Patrol in like the U.S. and Canada and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that show kind of has put the fear of God into me, like of making
No,
sure I'm not
I
trying
get
to
you.
bring too much. I remember there was once I came back from the Philippines or Thailand. I can't remember what it was, and I had bought some things that may have been, I didn't realize it, but may have been like counterfeit or like fake,
but I
goods.
see.
Like I bought them on the beach or something.
Okay.
And they were in my bag and they were like, what are these things? I'm like, I bought them something. And they're like, oh, okay. And
And
let
just
me
let
through.
go. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So it wasn't too bad. But there was once when we were going through customs in Canada, I was after I got married and we brought back some soju. And it was probably over the amount, but I was like, oh, it's me and my wife, but it was all in my bag.
Okay.
And they were like, sure.
They let it
Yeah,
slide.
it was fine. But I have seen people have their
Yes.
bags torn apart and just be a little bit smart, people.
Indeed. Well, let's jump into some sports.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yes.
every so often in the world of sports or in life in general, some things happen that make, and maybe you'll like this reference, CNC Music Factory song, things that make you go, come to real life. Now, I wonder
Yes.
if Petey Nim actually knows that song.
Of course.
That happened just a couple of days ago in the NBA. And I think you know what I'm talking about. You're a basketball fan. You know what's going on in the world. Yeah.
To LA?
This, I don't know. You know when there's things that you read and you're like, is it April Fool's Day already?
I thought it was a joke.
And there was one
Right.
reporter, he's like, I have not been hacked. This is 100% legit.
This is not fake news.
This is not fake news. And so in a seismic shift that has rocked the NBA landscape, Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Lakers have finalized a blockbuster trade involving their franchise cornerstones. I would say maybe one of those cornerstones is a little bit bigger than the other.
Yeah.
The Mavericks have sent 25-year-old phenom Luka Doncic to the Lakers, receiving 31-year-old Anthony Davis in return. Now, I don't know. I guess, they both bring different things to the table, but most people would say that Luka has more upside than Davis. So the deal, which became official on Sunday, again, when I was looking at it going, what is going on with this?
I
couldn't
know.
believe it. Includes a few other players, but no one really cares about them. Also some money. And then the Utah Jazz kind of jumped into this as well, getting,
It's a three-team trade?
People don't realize that.
Oh, really?
People don't realize.
We just heard Luca and Anthony.
Yeah.
Davis, yeah.
Receiving Jalen Hood, Shafino, and also some draft picks. So it's pretty interesting. So this unexpected move has sent shockwaves, like I said, through the basketball world, leaving fans, players, and analysts stunned. It was great looking through clips I was trying to get some more info. And a lot of the analysts or the pundits out there were just kind of like, yeah, I think it might be good for
But why did the Mavericks decide to part with her? He's a superstar.
Yeah, so that's the big question.
he's young.
The big question is why, right?
Yeah.
So there has been a lot of, not rumors. I think if you just look at some photos, you can see that Luka maybe might enjoy his off-court shenanigans. Yeah. So his weight has become an issue. If you look at his rookie photo till now, it's like I think his rookie year he's quoted at 230 pounds, and now it's pushing like 270. Which the Mavs are trying to say like this is an issue and part of the issue why he's had some injury problems, which totally makes sense.
It does,
right?
Yes.
And they also realize that in the NBA Finals last year, he didn't play defense, which, he was called out multiple times because of it. And a lot of people would say that you kind of give a pass to one of these players because their other end.
It's so good.
When you're producing so much,
right.
You don't, but when
you can forgive a little.
A little.
Yeah.
Exactly. Especially in throughout the season. But when it comes down to crunch time, you got to have that, coming back on the back end, which they will get from Anthony Davis. Like that's not going to be, there'll be no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
The discipline.
But the thing is here that a lot of people are like, yeah, but what if Donis turns into one of the best ever? He has some of the stats right now that put him in the top 5 of all time in the NBA.
Right. He is amazing, though.
But I listened to a podcast that were talking about this, and they said they don't want to be like some other teams, like the Pelicans with Zion, and a few other teams who are stuck with players because they were injured. They don't want to let them go because they're not like, what could happen?
Exactly.
Where the Mavericks are looking to win now.
They want to win now. They want a championship.
They have players like Kyrie Irving, that and a few others that have been traded for over this past.
They don't have time to wait for him to blossom into a disciplined athlete,
and it's not going to happen. So he's gone there. We're not really sure how it's going to turn out. LeBron also doesn't look like he's going to waive his no trade clause. I mean, why would he? His son's there.
That's right.
And he has another option, a player's option for another year at $50 million a year.
Wow.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how that goes.
All right. So let's move away from the court and go to the golf course.
Yeah, so in a thrilling season opener, the LPGA Tour's Hilton Grand Vacation Tournament of Champions, South Korea's Alin Kim emerged victorious, defeating world number 1 Nelly Korda by 2 shots in a dramatic final round at Lake Nona Golf and Country Club in Orlando, Florida.
Yes.
So this tournament is a little bit different than other tournaments. There's no cut. It's only players who had won an event in the previous season, and that's the way they kick it off. That's why it is called the Tournament of Champions.
Yes.
And this is an interesting one because, Kim went wire to wire. And for our listeners who don't understand what wire to wire means in golf terms, it is that they finished every day at the top of the leaderboard, which is not easy to do.
Right, consistently.
Not easy to do. So, and also in this year, Minji Lee, who was having an okay round, decided to pretty much turn up the jets on the final day, -10 on Sunday.
Oh my gosh.
So, but she kind of ran out of holes. She ended up bogeying toward the end, but then it was like, if she had another day, it may have been her tournament, you know what I mean? So this is Kim's 3rd LPGA title. Was highlighted by a clutch birdie putts on 16 and 18 to seal her win. When asked about the intense competition with Kim, Kim remained composed, saying, "I watched her scoreboard and make birdie, wow, then focus on the game again." And for any of our listeners, that have been listening for a while, I cover the LPGA quite a bit. I go to the event here in Korea, and I've been in some press conferences where Kim Lim has talked, and I love her personality. She's very candid. She's funny, and we're gonna get to a clip here. She's talking about, first off, how she feels. Then it's how she got her nickname. as queen, and then also a certain individual who's kind of been like a mentor to her on tour. So let's take a listen.
Honestly, so fun, so good, and then I'm hungry.
How did you get the nickname Queen?
Yeah, this is my nickname, but honestly, my last nickname is Kong. So when I was young, my driver distance is too far, so everybody told me Queen Kong. But I don't like use the last name, so only Queen, yeah. A lot, but very big thing is Amy Young. Yeah, she is my hero. And then when I was young, I watched her all the time. And then close living in home, so she helps a lot all the time.
So that was Kim Arim, aka
Yeah.
Queen.
Yeah,
Take
Queen.
off the Kong.
Yeah, not Queen Kong because she hit the
She
ball
has a
too
sense
far.
of humor.
And she said that, her idol in growing up and,
Yeah.
fellow country women, Amy Young as well, is kind of like her mentor, and she
Yes.
loves her on tour. And she also grabbed the champagne and dumped it over Alim's head on the final hole, which is pretty cool.
Indeed, indeed. So we're going to end it on that happy note. And we'll
Super
check in
Bowl
with you.
this Monday morning,
Yes.
8:30 a.m. in Korea.
And we'll have a recap next week.
We will.
Thank you, Andrew.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, so here we go with our final song for hour number 1. 흔들리는 꽃들 속에서 내 샴푸 향이 느껴진 거야 by 장범준. I'll be back at 8.
샴푸 향이 느껴진 거야. 스쳐 지나간 건가 뒤돌아보지마. 그냥 사람들만 보이는 거야. 다와가는 집 근처에서 괜히 핸드폰만 만지는 거야. 한번 연락해볼까 용기 내보지만 그냥 내 마음만 아쉬운 거야. 걷다가 보면 항상 이렇게 너를 바라만 보던 너를 기다린다고 말할까. 지금 집 앞에 계속 이렇게 너를 아쉬워하다 너를 연락했다 할까. 지나치는 꽃들 속에서 내 샴푸 향만 보이는 거야. 스쳐 지나간 건가 뒤돌아보지만 그냥 내 마음만 바빠진 거야. 걷다가 보면 항상 이렇게 너를 바라만 보던 너를 기다린다고 말할까.
Your Bridge to the World.
BEFM 부산 영어 방송.
보던 너
교통안전. 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
These are the guidelines for action for people in the event of an apartment building fire. First, if evacuation is possible in the event of a fire in your home, move to a safe place in a low posture by using stairs. And if evacuation is difficult, move to an evacuation space or block the door gap and call 119 for rescue. Second, if a fire breaks out in another home and no flames or smoke enters your home, wait inside the home, call 119, and act according to the announcement. Third, if flames and smoke come into your home in the event of a fire in another home, check to see if evacuation is possible and then evacuate or request rescue. This was brought to you by the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and the National Fire Agency.
살림꾼 김재우의 살림템 추천. 창틀 바람막이로 실내 온기 지켜줄게. 포장은 다회용기로, 플라스틱 거절한다. 우리 식재료로 유통을 줄이면 탄소를 줄일 수 있어. 이 모든 건 기후위기에 대응하는 지구 살림템. 여러분도 함께해요. 공익광고협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded. What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It's now 8 o'clock and this is news highlights. Yoon's insurrection trial to begin on February 20th. The criminal trial of President Yoon Suk-yeol over his martial law-related insurrection charges is set to begin on February 20th, with pre-trial hearings at the Seoul Central District Court, said legal sources yesterday. President Yoon is not required to be present at the pre-trial hearing, as it is a procedural step conducted to review key issues and evidence before the formal trial begins. This criminal trial will be held along with the ongoing impeachment trial. Insurrection charges supersede presidential immunity from prosecution. Samsung's Lee Jae-yong acquitted of illegal succession in appeals trial. The Seoul High Court yesterday confirmed the not guilty verdict for Samsung Electronics chairman Lee Jae-yong in accounting fraud and other irregularities related to the controversial merger of two Samsung affiliates in 2015. The appeals court also rejected charges of Lee's involvement in false corporate disclosures and accounting fraud at Samsung Biologics, a subsidiary of Tail Industries, saying the company did not appear to have concealed information. In response to the ruling, prosecutors said they will consider taking the case to the Supreme Court after thoroughly reviewing the High Court's decision. U.S. firm reports additional oil and gas prospects in East Sea. U.S. geoscience research company ActGeo has made a report on the potential discovery of 14 additional oil and gas reserves in South Korea's East Sea amid an ongoing fossil fuel exploration project in the area, officials said yesterday. ActGeo made a report on such a possibility to the Korea National Oil Corporation KNOC, according to the officials from the KNOC and the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy. The findings are yet to be confirmed as the preliminary report needs to go through a further verification process with local and foreign experts. Country prepares for a cold snap and heavy snow. The Ministry of the Interior and Safety inspected preparations by local government and related agencies amid a cold snap and heavy snow forecast in most parts of the country. According to the Korea Meteorological Administration, cold wave alert is in place for provinces of Gyeonggi, Gangwon, Chungbuk, and Gyeongbuk, and a preliminary heavy snow alert is in effect for the Chungcheong, Jeolla, and Jeju regions. Attendees at the meeting resolved that related agencies will frequently share weather information, exert full efforts in operating an emergency response system, and concentrate on ensuring the safety of vulnerable groups and outdoor workers. Trump pauses tariff on Mexico and Canada. President Donald Trump said he agreed to immediately pause tariffs on Mexico for a month after a conversation with the country's President Claudia Sheinbaum. Mexico agreed to send 10,000 troops to its border with the U.S. to flow the control of illegal drugs. The agreement also includes a commitment from the U.S. to limit the flow of guns to Mexico. Trump also spoke to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and the tariff against Canadian goods has been postponed for at least 30 days, according to Trudeau. And this was News Highlights. It's time for Wagga Wagga. Haley's back.
It is, and I'm back.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, for our first story, we're going to talk about a well-known Korean history lecturer who is under fire for his political activities.
Right. So this is one of the most popular Korean history lecturers whose name is Jeon Han-gil, and he's been on the news quite frequently these days. So he has actively written and spoken about current issues involving the president, the martial law, and the insurrection charges. And he takes a stance that is in support of the president. So now that's within his political rights, but his students have something else to say regarding his activities on the platform. Because so he not only runs the lectures, but he also has this online community, Naver Cafe, and there he has this board which is titled Diaries Written by Han-gil. And of the 9 posts that he's put up recently, 8 of them were about the political situation. So the thing about that is, once again, that's covered within freedom of speech, but the board was previously used for discussions about the exam questions and the exam material that is covered in the Korean history certification exams.
Right.
So students say that his online platform, which was supposed to be, and it has been used as kind of a questions and answers board for the exams, that has now been changed. So this is where the criticism comes out, and that was posted via this board. So students claim that because not only the teacher posts political comments, but also some students have posted things in agreement or in disagreement, the website or the board has now heightened criteria for who is allowed to post. So now the site, apparently you have to have visited the site 10,000 times and have written 1,000 comments to be able to post something. So students who could usually just ask questions kind of casually now can't, is the argument. So they're claiming that this is a disadvantage for them in their studies. So Jeon responded to this that he had no choice but to raise this criteria because, in his words, quote, politically crazy people rush to the comment page. So others have even posted photos of themselves leaving his cafe or basically canceling the membership, saying that this isn't the time to get political when there are only few months left until the public servants exam, to which Korean history is a major part.
I see. So hence why a lot of people are talking about this very hot issue right now. And this next story has to do with our text topic. I mean, some people have to have their kimchi wherever they go, when you go abroad. But apparently, International Airport has had to confiscate multiple tons of kimchi. I mean, plural.
And we were talking about this before we went live, because in this day and age, you can get kimchi anywhere.
Just about anywhere. Almost anywhere.
Just about anywhere.
Yes.
And you can even get like kimchi in italics and quotation marks.
Yes.
But at least you can get some form of kimchi. But then if you ask like enthusiasts, there's kimchi and then there's your like home kimchi. There's like your grandmas and moms, and it's apparently different. I don't know, but people say that.
Yes.
So this might be behind the 11 tons of kimchi. That's a lot of kimchi that Incheon International Airport has confiscated from the security just last year. This is in 1 year. So they basically confiscate like almost a ton every month.
Yes.
A little under, of course. So by the way, how we count kimchi is by pogi. So that's one head of cabbage. So one pogi weighs about 3 kilograms.
Sure.
So this roughly estimates to about 3,500 heads of the Asian cabbage of kimchi.
That is a lot.
It's a lot of kimchi.
Okay, so we need the deets. Are you not allowed to bring kimchi onto the plane?
You are, and here's the thing, and this goes back to the thing of liquids. And you were wondering, Haley, kimchi is a solid. You can chew. Well, but there are liquids in the sauce.
Of course.
And that counts as a liquid. So you can bring any liquids, including foods that have gels or liquids, in your carry-on. But it must be in a container that's 100 milliliters or smaller, with all the containers in a clear Ziploc bag that's 1 liter in size or smaller. But if you're checking your bags, if you're 붙이는 짐, you can carry in as much kimchi as your heart desires. Make sure it's locked in tight though, and make sure to give it a lot of room, because air pressure will basically, and it's fermented.
Yes.
You don't want a kimchi bomb in your bag. My goodness. By the way, you might be wondering, so what do you do with the 11 ton of kimchi?
Yeah, what do they do?
Yeah, I hope they don't. Well, they have to throw some away, but they do donate a lot of it.
Okay,
so, yeah,
thank goodness, because that's a lot of waste in kimchi.
That's a lot of waste. So if it's in like an airtight kind of and commercially produced, packaging, they'll donate it. But unfortunately for like the clearly homemade, it's a little iffy.
Because you don't know if
Exactly.
it was made
we don't
according
know.
to HACCP or whatever the standards are.
There are
in Korea.
standards,
Yes,
right. Yeah.
All right. So it is officially Oscar season, just award season generally, right? Where actors and filmmakers are on promotional tours for their works to win one of the most prestigious, highest prizes in film. But one of the biggest contenders for the lead actress category, Best Leading Actress prize, is Under Fire.
Right. So we're talking about the Spanish actress Carla Sofia Gascon for her role in Emilia Perez.
Yes.
So this film, Gascon plays a trans Mexican drug lord turned philanthropist. So very Oscar-y film.
Yes.
In this, and it's an operatic musical thriller.
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet because it's in like limited release in South Korea. So a lot of the Oscar Best Film nominated movies will actually come out in Korea in commercial release after the Oscars when there's more buzz. So number one, just her nomination itself, she made history because now she is the first ever outwardly trans women trans person, period, to be nominated in the Best Actor or even Actress category.
Okay.
Because Ellen Page was nominated for Best Actress, but that's before she made the transition. That's when she was Ellen Page. And now, of course, he is Elliot Page. So going back to Gascon, she was considered one of the favorites until a storm of social media posts surfaced from her past. So these posts were dug up by freelance journalist Sarah Hagi and published in Variety. A lot. So there's a lot to unpack here. Number one, she vilified the religion of Islam, called COVID vaccines the Chinese vaccine. There's a lot of racial undertone.
Okay.
And then she also spread misinformation about the vaccines, which I won't quote.
Okay.
And called George Floyd. And for a bit of background, he is a man whose death by the police, brutal death by the police, sparked the Black Lives Matter protests. A drug-addicted swindler.
Oh.
Right. And then she insulted the Oscars themselves with once again a racial undertone. So this was right after, I believe, the 2021 Academy Awards. And this is the year that Nomadland won Best Picture and Yoon Yo-jung won for Best Supporting Actress.
Okay.
Very exciting year. Good year for the films. Quote, more and more, the Oscars are looking like a ceremony for independent and protest films. I don't know if I was watching an Afro-Korean festival, a Black Lives Matter demonstration, or basically like an International Women's Day festival. So it's too diverse and female-oriented was the complaint. So yeah, that's that.
Well, Gascon has apologized for her past comments.
She did. So she released a statement via from Netflix acknowledging the conversation around this past social media posts. And she said that as someone in a marginalized community, she knows the suffering all too well and said that she's deeply sorry for all those to whom she has caused pain. So yeah, and she said she believes light will always triumph over darkness.
I mean, I fully believe in, freedom of speech. However, there are sometimes consequences.
Right.
What you say in public.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you're posting something, it goes public.
It goes public. And
So-
by the way, you can delete all you want, but
It's out
things
there.
on the internet are permanent.
Out there. All right, let's move on. So we have covered President Donald Trump's tariffs on Canada, China, and Mexico. That was in hour number 1, and we said it in the news as well. So we're going to give this a kind of like a woggle side of things.
Right. So keep in mind that when I wrote this story, this was before that 30-day pause on the Canadian and Mexican, the tariffs against Canada and Mexico,
Yes.
which came into effect like an hour ago.
Right.
But this is having an anti-American / uniting effect on Canadians.
Oh.
Right. So Canadian fans have been booing American teams during sports games and matches. So just a few hours after the first tariff announcement,
Yes.
Hockey fans in Ottawa, they booed the Star-Spangled Banner, the national anthem, during NHL National Hockey League game against a visiting U.S. team. And then again, Sunday local time, this was a basketball game, an NBA game between the Toronto Raptors and the LA Clippers. And this was kind of heartbreaking because there was a 15-year-old singing the national anthem.
Ooh.
They were not booing the 15-year-old, obviously, but they were booing the U.S. But then it was also a 15-year-old who was singing, who was getting booed. So this is obviously against the spirit of sportsmanship. And it's a very rare display of disrespect, especially from Canada. But people say that this is a sign of how deeply upset the Canadians /war at the Trump tariffs.
Yes.
Of course, along with the push consistently from President Donald Trump to have Canada join us, the 51st state.
Indeed. And so Canadian politicians have been urging citizens to buy locally.
Right. So this is once again the uniting Canada aspect. So outgoing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, he urged people to, quote, choose Canada. And there have also been social media guidelines on how to avoid American products in Canada. So we're looking at some photos. Some local grocery stores have even put up stickers on which items are produced in Canada. Others have said online that they've canceled trips to the United States. This is kind of reminiscent, just some personal part, of the No Japan movement in South Korea, which was also over kind of the economic retaliation. Of course, U.S. and Canada, they don't have that historical relationship, but this is something that happens all around the world. So once again, we will see if the moods change because at least for the time being, the tariffs have been paused.
Indeed. So thank you for going over all the woggle issues. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day and stay warm.
Yes, indeed. All right, so let's get to our updated traffic and weather. it's time for your weather report first because it is so cold. Currently -5 here in Busan. It's going to go all the way up to 0 today, but with a real feel temperature, it's going to plummet to what? -11 because of the winds, and there is a cold wave effect preliminary report in place over Busan. So across the country, it's going to be much colder. Some places reporting -10, -11, or even under. A snow forecast for the western coast in Chungnam and Jeolla, along with rain or snow in Jeju. As for the traffic, there was an accident on Luno Samsangdaedo from Il-Sukdo Bridge to Myeongji Underpass in that direction, and there was a crash between a cargo truck and a car right there before the underpass. It has been cleared up, but it is still causing some congestion. It's backed up on Pyeongno going into the city around the Wondong interchange as well. This was your weather and traffic. All right, this is Bad Girl, Good Girl by Miss A.
JYP introducing Made in Asia. Miss A.
앞에선 한마디도 못하더니 뒤에선 내 얘기랑 좋게 해.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Let's talk about our text topic before we get into our special interview. So we are talking about traveling abroad, and what you have gotten confiscated from you. I hope it's nothing too serious. Actually, I think Tommy mentioned this, that there was like something in his luggage through the x-ray machines, right? And it was shaped like a pistol. And then they had to check, obviously. And they took it outside of the box, and it was a lighter shape as a pistol. So I can imagine, though, I mean, the alarm bells, everything, everything going off through a customs and security check. If there is something shaped like a pistol in your luggage, they are definitely going to check. So I'm sure that was kind of a scary and a relief kind of moment as well. And 성 이름 waiver says this. 해외 나갈 때 꼭 가져가는 것. 전기장판, 침대랑 공기 난방은 조금만 쌀쌀해도 너무 추워서요. So they say that wherever they go, if they go abroad, they always take their electric blanket with them because they can't stand to be chilly at all. Oh, that's an interesting one. So thank you for those two messages for now. We're going to get to our special interview, which I'll be back with the expert in just a moment. All right, listeners, you've probably heard of Mount Fuji, Japan's most famous volcano. It has remained dormant for the last 300 years or so, but recent developments have raised concerns about its potential reawakening, with scientists observing signs suggesting possible underground changes. So on January 24th, NHK reported that the Japan Meteorological Agency held its first expert meeting to enhance its volcanic eruption forecasting system. So they looked at predicting the impact of volcanic ash and improving disaster response measures. So with advances in technology, experts are working to predict if and when an eruption might happen. But of course, uncertainty remains about what the future holds. Let's find out more. Joining us is Professor Arianna Soldati, who is an assistant professor of volcanology in the Department of Marine, Earth, and Atmospheric Sciences at North Carolina State University. Hi, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Yes, the pleasure is all ours, Professor. So first of all, let's go through a little bit of history, if you don't mind. How many times that we know of has Mount Fuji erupted, and when was the last confirmed eruption?
I really like the way you phrased that question because Mount Fuji has had 58 confirmed eruptions during the Holocene, which is the period of time that goes from the end of the last age up until today. So we're talking about 11,700 years. But there are about 4 times as many that are unconfirmed. That means that we may have some report, but we're not really quite sure how attainable those are. Now, the last time that we had a confirmed eruption, like you said, was about 300 years ago. It was between the end of 1707 and the beginning of 1708. And that eruption lasted for about 3 months.
Wow, 3 months. So that's how huge this is. So if... have there been any recent developments pointing to the possibility of any type of eruption at Mount Fuji?
There haven't really been any signs of concern. Mount Fuji is a heavily monitored volcano, and that is a very good thing, of course. As volcanologists, we want to make sure that we are listening to all the possible signs, and this includes a variety of different signals. We look at the formation of the ground because a volcano, for example, could be inflating as magma is rising towards the surface. We also look at changes in temperature, changes in potential gas emissions, potential earthquakes as well. But we really have not observed anything too alarming about Mount Fuji recently. And in fact, I was just talking with some colleagues at the Global Volcanism program this morning. are in contact with volcano observatories around the world, as well as government agencies and scientific organizations, including in Japan, and they confirm that there have been no reports of concern.
Okay, so that's definitely good to know, Professor. Well, how does the melting of glaciers at Mount Fuji's summit, does that affect volcanic activity at all?
Don't think so. Now, it is, of course, possible that if magma were rising inside the volcano, that could lead to an increase of temperature and the melting of a glacier. But this does not seem to be the case in this situation. We have to think about our climate as well. And the last winter has been unseasonably warm, right? We have had reports about that all over the world and in Japan specifically.
Yes.
And I think that that has likely had a much bigger impact on those glaciers on Mount Fuji melting down, as well as the fact that the volcano really hasn't had its traditional wintry snow cap until much later in the year than it usually does. And again, this seems likely to be related to a different weather pattern this year.
I see. Thanks for explaining. And for our next question, Professor, we hear so much about artificial intelligence, AI, these days. And so is there a role that AI or even advanced monitoring technology can play in predicting a possible eruption in this day and age?
Oh, absolutely. And this is a very exciting recent development that I am watching closely, because monitoring volcanoes is about looking at a variety of different data sources and trying to identify patterns that in the past have led to an eruption. Now, it's really difficult for us as humans to do that, looking at really large amounts of data, but AI excels at that. AI is really good at taking very large data sets that it would be very challenging, if not impossible, for a person to fully explore and identify what those patterns are. So I'm really confident that we will see some exciting advancement in volcano monitoring coming from the application of artificial intelligence.
Yes, indeed. And so we're very curious, though. In theory, Professor, if and when Mount Fuji were to erupt, what kind of immediate impact would that have on, obviously, first, the cities and population near Mount Fuji, at large, Japan, and, how far could the ash spew?
Yeah, first of all, we have to think about what type of eruption would we see. So we can have explosive eruptions where ash is the main concern for sure, but we could also have effusive eruptions where there are only lava flows being emitted by the volcano. Mount Fuji is known to have had both of these types of eruptive activity during its geologic history. So in the case of an effusive eruption, lava flows, the hazard and the impact would be really limited probably to the cone of Mount Fuji itself. So I would say that we would have minimal impact on the population. There's only about 500 people who live within 5 kilometers of Mount Fuji. Now, if we an explosive eruption with an ash column rising all the way up to the stratosphere, now that would be a different story, because ash can impact areas up to about maybe 100 kilometers away, and we do have 25 million people who live within that radius in Japan. So, for example, even Tokyo, which is about 100 kilometers away, could see a couple of centimeters of ash falling down. And this would be really quite disruptive. For example, it would be disruptive to traffic, and it might have some negative impact on respiratory health. People might be breathing in that ash, which would be problematic.
I'm sure, especially for those who are quite close by. So in theory, could this spread even beyond Japan? Because, I mean, we are a neighboring country, and of course, our first and foremost thoughts would be with those affected immediately. But could it go beyond Japan, even spread possibly further to Korea as well?
Yeah, so the finest part of the ash, those really microscopic particles, as well as some gases emitted during an eruption, could potentially travel as far as South Korea. But South Korea is about 1,000 kilometers away from Mount Fuji. So, and then higher order of magnitude, further away than Tokyo, and then that 100-kilometer area, which is what as volcanologists we usually focus on in terms of hazard. So I would say that most likely, even in the case of a large eruption, there would be a little bit of haze. You might be able to notice that the atmosphere looks a little bit different, but there wouldn't be any direct negative impact on the daily life of people in South Korea. If you had travel planned to or through Tokyo, that would be a different story. You would most likely experience some disruptions, but you should be safe at home.
Yes. And my next question is this, though, Professor. I mean, in theory, do we know how long or how much notice nearby residents might have if there were to be an eruption of Mount Fuji? Like, would there be minutes notice, or would we have much more of, I guess, a detection so we would know ahead of time and people could evacuate?
That is $1 million question. It is still challenging to forecast volcanic eruptions with great certainty. What I can say is that Mount Fuji is one of the most heavily monitored volcanoes in the world. Scientists are keeping a close eye on it. And so I am hopeful that we would have a long period of notice. But I also want to share that about 50% of all unrest crises, these are the times when a volcano seems to be waking up. There are some signs, maybe there's some earthquakes, there's some emissions of gas. About 50% of those end up in nothing. There is no eruption. The volcano goes back to being dormant. Now, the opposite scenario can also happen. That can progress to an eruption, right? But we have to really be careful and rely on the experience of those scientists who have been working at Mount Fuji specifically for a long time and best understand what the behavior of the volcano has been in the past. So hopefully there would be some lead time in order to be able to evacuate the people that would be most quickly affected. But we cannot guarantee that.
I see. Well, thank you so much for giving us the lowdown on Mount Fuji. And of course, we don't want to alarm anyone, but the great information to have. Thank you so much, Professor.
Thank you.
This was Professor Arianna Soldati, and we talked about Mount Fuji. So as she prefaced everything by the whole fact that Mount Fuji is being heavily monitored. So rest assured, we still need to know, right? That was our special interview. We're going to get to a song raid. This is G by 소녀시대 as requested by Umberto.
Listen, boy. My first love story. My angel and my girls. My sunshine. Let's go. 너무너무 멋져 눈이 부셔 숨을 못 쉬겠어 떨리는 걸. Baby, 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 baby. 너무 부끄러워 쳐다볼 수 없어 사랑에 빠졌어 수줍은 girl. Baby, 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 baby. 어떻게 왔다 갔다 하죠 떨리는 나는요. 너무 부끄러워하는 날 용기가 없는 걸까 어떻게 해야 좋은 걸까 두근두근만 졸이며 바라보고 있는 날 눈이 부셔 깜짝깜짝 놀란 나는 짜릿짜릿 몸이 떨려 젖은 눈빛 oh yeah 좋은 향기 oh yeah 눈이 부셔 눈이 부셔 너무 깜짝깜짝 놀란 나는 너무 짜릿짜릿 몸이 떨려 젖은 눈빛 oh yeah 좋은 향기 oh yeah yeah yeah
All right, listeners, I have a public service announcement for you right now. This is from the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and Korea Forest Service. They've issued this public service announcement at 7:49 a.m. this morning, February 4th, 2025. These are precautions to prevent wildfires. Do not burn rice paddies or banks around fields, agricultural debris, or trash in forest areas. Do not smoke or litter cigarette butts in forest areas. Do not carry flammable materials like lighters and others when you enter mountains. Dispose of ashes from wood-burning furnaces or boilers, also known as hwamok boiler, without live embers. If you start a fire or bring flames into a forest area or forest areas, you may be subject to up to 1 million won in fines. And if your negligence causes a wildfire, you may be subject up to 3 years in prison or up to 30 million won in criminal fines. Quite serious. So this was a message from the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and the Korea Forest Service. And I know it's really, really cold, but it's also quite dry. And hence we have this public service announcement that we're sending out to all of you. Let's be careful and keep each other safe. All right. I'm here with Bonnie, so let's get into, yes, the health.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
Drift Monkey said it all. Cult 시간 시작. He, by the way, is in Japan right now.
Oh.
He went from New Zealand to Seoul to Busan.
Wow.
And then he went to Japan. Do I have it right? I think I'm correct.
And they can help spread the cult in Japan.
Yes. He's going to spread it.
Global.
We are global already.
Yes.
Anyhow, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Hey, our text topic is this.
Okay.
So, have you had anything confiscated at the airport? Like by accident, like you didn't put something in a container properly, or like I had a banana plant hat that was made for me in Fiji.
Oh.
And they confiscated at LAX. They were so mean. They're like, no plants. I'm like, got it. Okay, let me take a photo and I'll throw it away. But yeah, they at least let me take a photo of it. Wow. But I was so fond of it because I for the few days I was there, the locals were so nice and they're like, oh, we want to give you this tree, and they didn't want to even accept money for it. I was like, no, it's like your art.
Special.
It's like art. So like I insisted, and then I brought it back.
What meanies?
I know, and they're like, no. What was the purpose? Obviously, I was vacationing.
Yeah.
Do you see me? I'm tan and I have a hat on, but yeah.
You're like disinfected or something.
Yeah, they said no. Yeah.
Yes, I have had mangosteens confiscated.
Mangosteen.
I was coming back from Thailand, I believe, and when you buy fruit overseas, you get a lot more. They were like, whatever the amount was, and I was thinking, oh, okay, for like 2 or 3, and they gave me a huge bag, but I love mangosteens, so I was kind of eating them myself, sharing them with the people that we were with, but I had a bunch left over, and I did not want to waste them or
Of
put them to
course.
waste.
Right.
So I tried to sneak them in, and Korea caught them.
You're like,
So I
no.
got those taken. I was very
I'm dead.
sad. I asked if I could eat them right there. I was, can I eat them right here, right now? And they said no.
No. You're like, I
Yeah.
can scarf them down.
Yeah.
I can. Oh.
And metal straws. I've always gotten caught with. They think it's kind of a weapon sometimes.
I've
because
never
it's
even
metal
thought
and
of
long.
it.
Yeah, so I always bring them traveling with me, but I have gotten them not confiscated, but they always get checked.
Like, what is this for?
Yeah,
It's a metal straw.
I've asked. They always ask me, "What is this for?" And I say, "It's a straw. It's a metal straw." And they're always like inspecting it inside because like
You
this
should say
could
next
be a
time,
weapon.
Put your hand on your hip and say, "Have you not heard of me? I am the Bonnie."
Yeah. Do you not want to join the cult
Yeah.
of sustainability? Yeah. So they think
Right.
it's a weapon. I'm always like, no. I'm not going to use it to hurt anybody.
Oh my God,
I
that's
have
the
to
funniest
convince
thing I've
them.
heard
Yeah.
all day. Oh,
Yeah.
Yes. Well, now we know. Bonnie is a practicing cult leader. All right. So let's get into our topic for today. What do you have for us?
Yes. Okay. So beginning of the year, I know last week or the last official time we had this. We had covered sourdough bread, right?
Oh, yeah,
So I was
yeah.
telling you a kind of, if you want to eat this, how good it is for you.
I have an update. I convinced my sister, so she ordered the starter kit.
Oh.
I asked her to invest.
Your sister.
Invest. My little sister, meaning forced her to invest in the starter kit
Wow.
because it was kind of like not pricey, but not as cheap as just
Yeah.
buying the sourdough bread.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you buy the starter kit, I will make the bread. So it's coming.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, step one. Oh, I can't wait to
Yeah, I
see
know.
how this tastes. And I think after you get one starter, you can continue using that
I hope
starter.
so.
So it will give you loads and loads
was
of
like
bread
someone
through
else,
the
I
whole
hope so.
year. Yes, I mean, yes, it will.
Right.
For that amount.
Right.
Yeah. So this week I wanted to give you advice on something else that you can add into your diet
Which
that
is?
will give you great health benefits, which is vinegar.
I love vinegar.
Vinegar is so good
Yes.
for you.
식초.
Yeah, and sometimes we don't even realize that these little changes that we can make in our diet, or maybe adding in this into your diet, how
Okay.
good it can be for you and how great the benefits can be. So vinegar, you might know, has a wide range of benefits, and
Sure.
some people use it to ingest, obviously for your health, but you can also use it for household purposes and also cosmetic purposes.
Ooh, cosmetic.
Yes. So all different kinds of vinegar have great different kinds of benefits. They all aid in digestion, so it helps to stimulate this digestive enzyme and obviously good for your gut health,
Yes.
which we love. And this is the big one. This is why I kind of turned on to adding this into my diet, but it regulates your blood sugar. So I covered last week too with the sourdough. If you'd want to control your glucose spikes,
Yes.
when you have tons of glucose spikes because we eat a lot of processed food, we eat a lot of refined sugars. Those glucose spikes can lead to very many different kinds of health issues. So the vinegar will regulate the blood sugar, help improve your insulin sensitivity, and it will calm down those glucose spikes. And another one we like, supports in weight loss. So
Okay.
it can promote you actually feeling full. So it reduces your overall calorie intake, in turn helping you maybe lose some extra weight if you
Sure.
like. Also, tons of antibacterial properties. It kills harmful bacteria and can help with infections. So it can actually be used to clean and disinfect wounds and has been known to treat nail fungus, lice, warts, and ear infections.
Oh.
So be careful of this. I'm not saying go ahead if you have an infection, go pour vinegar all over
I was
it.
gonna say,
of
like, we're not
course.
giving out medical advice.
No, but it does have antibacterial properties in it.
Yes.
So using sparingly, always consult with your doctor first if you have any of these things, what is safe for you. Vinegar is also really great for your heart health. And some studies also suggest that it may help lower your cholesterol and your blood pressure.
Okay, but
All
there
great
are
things.
so many different types of vinegar.
Yes.
I personally, I use what's it called? Not giving the brand away, the 사과 2배, like the really extra. She's laughing. Our producer's laughing at me.
Like a dark brown color almost.
It's a concentrated, like they claim that it's like twice as potent.
Yes.
I don't know. But that's what the label says. Yes.
So there are many different kinds of vinegar, and all the different kinds of vinegar have
Yes.
a little bit of different properties that might
Okay.
be good for you. But overall,
Yes,
for your
overall.
health to ingest,
What's the best?
apple cider vinegar is number one.
Apple cider
This kind of
vinegar.
vinegar, especially when it is raw, it is unfiltered, organic, and it contains the mother. So on the label, a lot of times it will say contains the mother,
Which is what?
in quotation marks, and that is a mix of proteins, enzymes, and really good bacteria for you.
Yes.
So if you look at a bottle and it's really cloudy at the bottom, it has these things floating in it that might look like a gelatinous monster
You might think,
sort
like,
of thing.
is this old? But
Yeah,
not
you
really?
might think like, oh, that's disgusting. I don't want to drink that. But that is the mother. That is what makes the fermentation
Yes.
great, and that is actually what you want in your vinegar, especially this apple cider vinegar. So if it's in there, don't be scared of it. That's a really good thing. Has
Okay.
really good things for you. And aside from all the other benefits that we talked about vinegar, apple cider vinegar, in addition to aiding in digestion, it contains probiotics, unlike
Oh, so good.
other vinegars.
Okay.
So again, really good for your gut health. And on top of regulating that blood sugar, in a study, it can actually help treat type 2 diabetes. Now, I want to be sure it's not curing type 2 diabetes, but it does really help regulate your blood sugar levels so it keeps them in a safe range. So if you are eating this or drinking it
Yes.
before a meal or during a meal, it will help to regulate that blood sugar content. So if you're having a really carb heavy meal, or lots of sugars in your meal, then adding this vinegar before or during is really going to help control those spikes.
All right.
And again, supporting that weight loss, a study done with apple cider vinegar specifically showed significant reductions in weight, body fat ratio, blood sugar, BMI, and cholesterol in the blood after taking 3 servings a day for 3 weeks. So these studies done, published by healthline.com, you can look these up as well.
Okay.
So this is specifically just with apple cider vinegar, but other vinegars might do the same thing as well. Another great thing a reason why you might want this in your shelves at home, it soothes a sore throat. So like I said, it kind of kills the bacteria. So if you have like tickling, especially in this cold season that we have, if you have that kind of tickling in the back of your throat, once you start swallowing, it starts to hurt a little bit.
Yes.
Just dilute some apple cider vinegar with water, gargle, and then rinse out. Also great for your health, or your skin health, excuse me. Use in skincare for acne or eczema because it can balance the pH level on your skin and improve the skin's natural skin barrier.
Okay.
So I've heard of this. You can kind of dilute this in water, put it on like a toner pad, and use it as like a toner for your skin. So again, patch test always. This
Interesting.
could be also irritating for your skin. So it just depends on your own skin's pH level.
Yeah, do a little test first. Yes, yes.
So these are all benefits for your health and your skin, but I'm going to let you know how you can use it. And this is all tips from Jessie in Chospe. She's French, so I don't know if I said saying this right. She's a French biochemist. Yeah, she's a French biochemist, but she is very, very well renowned in knowing about glucose levels, glucose spikes, giving people health hacks.
Okay.
So this is from her. She said before a meal, drink 1 to 2 tablespoons of vinegar in a glass of water. So always dilute it, and you can even have it during a meal. So you can add it to your salad dressings or a marinade. So either way, it will be beneficial for you. Before bedtime, and some studies have shown that 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar before bed can improve fasting blood sugar levels in the morning.
So I'm assuming this is always like diluted though, because we don't want that acid like hitting your stomach like all on its own.
Yes.
Okay.
So always dilute in water, and it can irritate your throat and your stomach.
Right.
And it can monitor your blood sugar levels. So even if you're on diabetes medication, vinegar can actually enhance its effects.
Sure.
So really great benefits and good long-lasting benefits.
I'm so curious about the other vinegars.
So other vinegars too. Again, really healthy.
Yes.
Still, balsamic vinegar is high in antioxidants. Red wine vinegar contains polyphenols. It can help with heart health. Rice vinegar, also same, contains polyphenols. And then white vinegar as well. But white vinegar, I want to be careful about when you ingest it.
Yes.
It is quite strong. So white vinegar, you want to be careful of diluting and then also making sure that it's not too heavy still.
Moderation.
Yeah, on your stomach because it is quite acidic.
Okay.
But also other household uses of it. Great for detoxing and using as a non-toxic disinfectant for surfaces.
Absolutely.
So especially for household cleaners have lots of chemicals, all the bleaches and things. It's actually really not great for you to breathe in or ingest on your countertops. So white vinegar is great for this. It removes odors. It's great for your laundry. It can soften your clothes, remove the stains. It can be used as a pest repellent. And also, we use it for pickling. So great for food preservative. And this is my favorite use of
what is
vinegar on your skin. It's really great exfoliant.
Really?
So I keep apple cider vinegar actually in my shower because I will put it on my skin, let it sit on your skin for just about
a sponge or
a sponge or a loofah. And if you have a bathtub, it's even better if you take a bath, add about a cup of vinegar into your bathtub, let it soak for a couple minutes, and then you will see all the dirt come off of your skin so easily.
Really?
Yes. And actually, this came from a grocery store attendant, gave me this advice, but it is so great. You will see all the dirt coming off of your skin. You can also use it as a rinse for your hair. So if you have hair that has a lot of like gunk in it, you can use an apple cider vinegar rinse, and it will kind of strip your hair of all the yucky stuff and give your scalp a nice cleansing. Yes. I guarantee it. Use it, you guys.
Uses that I didn't even think about. I mean, of course, like I love vinegar. I have like multiple kinds in my home. But now I'm going to have to kind of explore some of these options that you've given us. I'm excited.
Big takeaways. Just have it before you eat, especially a carb-heavy meal, during the meal, and then also use it to exfoliate your skin. It's really, really great in the shower.
Well, thank you for this information. And Leslie says that you have to keep feeding the starter for the sourdough. A lot of people name their starter. So she says, think of a cute name. You cannot help me name my sourdough starter, because I've seen some cute names. Like I know like a certain brand, they name it like Willa. I won't give the brand name because I don't want to advertise, but there are cute names. I've heard of that. So
you'll have to think about it because it might be here for a while.
Should I name it Bonnie?
Be a part of the family.
Bonnie in honor of Bonnie. Let me think about it. For a little bit. But
if it dies, then I don't want it.
Yeah. Okay,
let's see if it lasts after one go.
Maybe Bonnet. Something, a variation of Bonnie. But thank you. We'll check in with you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. So this is our final song for today. It is Our House by Madness. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Father wears his Sunday best. Mother's tired, she needs a rest. The kids are playing up downstairs. Sister's sighing in her sleep. Brother's got a date to keep, he can't hang around. Our house in the middle of our street. Our house in the middle of our house, it has a crowd. There's always something happening and it's usually quite loud. Our mum, she's so house proud. Nothing ever slows her down and a mess is not allowed. Our house in the middle of our street. Our house in the middle of our house in the middle of our street. Something tells you that you've got to move in the middle of our. Father gets up late for work. Mother has to iron his shirt. Then she sends the kids to school, sees them off with a small kiss. She's the one they're going to miss in lots of ways. And everything was room when we would have such a very good time, such a fine time, such a happy